What's up, everybody? It's your boy Junior Moore tuning in on Black of the Berry podcast. Going to show some love to my new film coming out, Homegoing, also my children's books, and many more. Make sure y'all go tune in.
Oh, sugar honey, motherfucking iced tea.
I like iced tea.
Yeah, shit. Listen here, we have a motherfucking one hell of an episode in fucking store for y'all right now. We have screenwriter, director, author, CEO of Now or Next Entertainment Company. Book Uncle June's Talk, an urban survival guide. It's out now. He's got a new movie that's gonna be coming out real soon called Homegoing. Listen, and he put together that soundtrack. And listen, he's gonna be having Brian McKnight on that motherfucker. Now, you understand what I said? I said Brian McKnight. I am Dean. That over there is the Madman Los. We got Miss Double F, Miss Steph Paulino in the house with us as well. Listen, Los, do me a favor. Cue the applause. It gets edited in. What's up, baby? How you feeling, June?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. Living and maintaining.
Thank you for coming on the show, brother. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely want to get you on here and talk about your projects and your vast talents. So let's start. What you want to start with? You want to start with the upbringing? How? Let's talk about the relationship you had with your dad. And
First of all, before we even start anything, let's just say that one, I am fascinated by your story. So your interview, because I want to give him his props. So your interview that was done on, it was infinitysays.com. They did an exclusive look into your life. That interview was really eye-opening. It was deep. It was interesting. I would love to even see eventually a movie about your life. That's how invested I had got into that little. I think it was very interesting. So because of that, one thing that I was able to pick out was your dad. And it seems as if your dad has had one hell of an influence on you, you know what I mean, as a man and even in how you move. So, Los, I just want to set that up for the people so they understood.
I was gonna get that on the back end, but I was gonna say that that your relationship was so tight knit, and he has such an influence on you as a person, as a creative, that you just kind of speak to that. Like how did that relationship affect your art?
Well, when I was young, my father, he worked on the Tappan Bridges in New York, and he was working, I think, on a pile driver, and they didn't hook them properly, so he tore his spinal column. So my youngest years, he was mostly bedridden because he had to get, like, spinal realignment surgery. Like, most of the things that we did, like, he didn't really show me about basketball, football. I kind of learned that from the kids I grew up with and as I went, and we mostly just bonded over movies. So, like, I was young, everyone was watching Blues Clues, Power Rangers. I was watching like Sugar Hill, New Jack City. Me and my dad loved watching black and white films, so we used to love watching Abbott and Costello. So like I would watch, and as I got older, he'll ask me, "What do you think about that character?" Like he'll always like pick, and he didn't really know what he was doing. He just know that I'll be so zoned into a movie, and then eventually he'll start telling me, "What would you do different? How would the end be different?" And I'll start telling him, and say, just write it down. So I'll write it down, he'll look over it, and the way he was teaching me, like, make sure my spelling was correct, my punctuation, like, he was doing little stuff like that. And eventually, I just started, like, coming up with stories, writing stuff on papers and stuff like that until I got into high school. And when it came to, like, what do you call when you have to graduate high school? The Regents exam. I would test off the charts in history and English. So, like, English, I'll do, like, an essay. They'll either give you a topic or give you an idea, like, write a mystical character or something crazy. And I always had something forward, and I always was good with writing. So, like, my pops would set me up by answering questions he'll have about the movie, see if I'm paying attention and things like that. So, he was creative himself.
Speaking of that and your creative side, before we really dive into that, I want to talk about your business savvy. Okay. Because your dad had a patent that he had lost.
My dad did several patents.
Several, right? But then it was a real big one. I forget what it was.
His biggest one, opinion, well, he did two big ones that I think everyone may know, but he first did the Muhammad Ali shuffle dog. It was like this miniaturized life-size dog, Muhammad Ali, that can do the shuffle. That he did, and then he did the stationary rocking horse. So they still have it out to this day, but in different variations. It's like the rocking horse that a girl can sit on, and like it's like a teeter-totter.
Oh shit!
He came out with it. It was a black stallion. By the time he lost his patent, when you do patents, you have to renew them every 12 years, and he never knew that. So he made a few $100,000 by that time from selling that. But then, I'm not going to say the toy company that purchased it, but a big toy company that's not around no more purchased it, and they changed it from, it was called Bibby the Wonder Horse, to a white stallion horse. So all they did was change the color and change the straps. Everything else, the technology breakdown was the same. But he didn't know that you can copyright the making of something that you copyrighted. So like the certain screws or certain alignments you do, you can patent that to protect you if you lose the copyright. So now if they do that, you have to buy those from me, or I'm not gonna sell it to you. So I just learned from trial and error. Like
And so how did that? So seeing that.
That's before I was born. Because my father, he was born in 1947, so my dad was an older gentleman. All this, I was born in 1994. His were already done before. Like his last patent was a recycling container he made. He was selling to different local businesses to help recycling, because recycling really became real popular and big at the end of the 90s and 2000s.
Right.
That came out probably around like 6 years old when he did that. And that was his last patent. So all those earlier patents, I remember the toy, like they had my younger cousins riding them, and my dad had like one model left. But I was already born by the time he had already 3 patents.
I got you.
Wonder if it was bigger for him.
Fire.
But how did that affect you now in the way that you approach your business? Because reading that, looking at that interview, it showed that you became a student of the game.
Read the fine print. Always go above and beyond. Look who failed before you and saw what they did. So I picked the way I did my business was most companies hire outside companies to do things for their business. So like if it's like Sony, for example, they have pictures. That's not their main thing, but they started out with music. They start going to pictures. I'm like, you know what? How about if I do all 3 under one roof? So now Next Entertainment does film, music, and books. So I have musicians that are signed to the company, and plus with the contract I have them, they are allowed to control their own fate. I don't have no one signing their rights away. All the artists still keep their masters.
Yeah, I saw that. You're like,
I picked the brand like how Barry Gordy ran Motown. Motown was big because Motown did everything in one building and then sent it to the masses. He had the musicians to create the beats, he had the producers to write the songs, and he had the artists to sing the songs, all in one house. No outside shopping, no need. Now, some of the contracts from later documentaries kind of show certain things wasn't done the most ethical way, but the object of how he did the assembly line method that he learned from when he was working at the Ford plant back in Detroit, I kind of looked at that. And also just reading. A lot of stuff is in books, and some people just don't choose to pick up books. Like a lot of things.
Right.
I was going to ask because in the article it did say that, after that occurred with your dad, you started to hit the books. And so you wouldn't kind of make that mistake in your business endeavors. So are there any books that really stood out to you that could help someone who wants to get to the business side? Oh, okay. He ready.
Yeah, that thing's on deck. Actually, I do.
Hold up.
I don't read that many books, but all my books on my work desk. But Contagious, it shows you how to make things pop. And like Nipsey Hussle read this book. It's kind of like how he had the idea to charge for $100 mixtape. Working at Hamlet. It's like one of the original, I think gangsters are writing, honestly, like Hamlet. Because he talks like the wordplay in the transition. Because any good movie, if you know how to bait people into watching a movie, that's all it takes. Some people watch it for the first 5 minutes, this is trash, and probably turn it off or just be upset the whole rest of the movie until the end. Literally, it kind of showed me how to catch the viewer or even catch someone's attention with the songs. Even for my soundtrack, the first song, bro, what?
How did you? Speaking of your soundtrack, how did you get hooked up with Brian McKnight? I gotta ask. So how did this come? And what can we expect from that?
Well, let me correct it. Brian McKnight's son was one of the lead songs on the soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
It's Brian McKnight Jr.'s son. Well, Brian McKnight's son, Brian McKnight Jr. I wrote a TV show that featured Albie Shore and his son, Bobby Brown and his son, Brian, Dick Griffey's kids, and I wrote the show and I pitched it to Bravo. And Bravo liked it, but they have a lot on there. Basically, it's a rap, not before COVID, a little bit around New Year's. So I pitched it to them. They have shows that were coming off of Bravo, and they're interested in picking that up. So that's another teaser I kind of dropped. So Bravo looked like they're going to pick up that show. But when it came to talking details, because I didn't supposed to pitch it. It's supposed to be, I think, one of Bobby's or someone's representative was to pitch it. I'm always a person, if you throw me in the game, I'm at least going to shoot the shot. If I miss, I'm going to miss it. It's going to be an accurate shot. So I pitched it. They loved it. So I got phone calls, thank you, da-da-da. I'm like, I need a favor. He said, what is it? I'm like, I need a song for my soundtrack. He said, let me see the script now before I let you know. So I'm the script. He read it because I was like, what's the worst going to happen? He would say no. See, I actually like it. I'm actually working on something that fits it. He critiques some words around and it kind of fits the tempo and the act. He put some of the storyline, not characters' names, but some of the storyline into the song. And the song dope.
That's fine.
The Junior, he got his father's vocals, and I think a little bit stronger, but then he has like a hip hop presence to it. So
Right.
You feel like back at one of you drop some J. Cole on at the same time. It's something different. Like that song. Then
That song sound fire.
got Cartel with a K from Mount Vernon. Cartel.
So how did you get hooked up with them? Like is this just through, because like also too I've read, that you've also pitched to like a few different places. So like you're in that world. So like how exactly did you get in there officially? Like
Tapped in.
Yeah.
I kicked in some doors. They ain't trying to let me in before.
Of course.
Hang up phone calls. I have a list of people that hung up on me. So when I do meet them in person, I'm like, oh, I feel the energy. But anyway,
got the receipts.
I met I'll Be Sure has 3 kids. Most people only know 1, which is Quincy. But I'll Be Sure has 3 kids. His oldest son is Albert Brown Jr., which is I'll Be Sure's oldest son. I met his mother in Mount Vernon. His mother's in Mount Vernon, Anita. She works. She also worked for the mayor in Mount Vernon's office. And I started out doing photography in Mount Vernon. So I'm doing photos for strippers at Sue's Rendezvous to rappers that are on Fifth Avenue, and I started building my buzz. And I've always been writing. The only reason I did photography was to get into the industry. I did photography in high school because I thought it would be just a good tactic to have. If I know how to work a camera, I can tell how a scene should look.
Right.
In the foreground as it went, because I know I couldn't afford going to LA Film School and stuff like that. So I'm like, what can I learn that's free now, or what can I watch to figure it all out? So I started getting notoriety from the people in Mount Vernon. Shout out to Bedrock Records. They gave me like my first studio in Mount Vernon, so I was doing the photos for the artists. And me and her crossed paths because her son was opening up for, hold on, Jack, was it Jack? Not Jack, it is. Day 26.
Okay.
Lil Be Sure is what he goes by. He was opening up for Day 26. I was already cool with his mother. She was like, I like what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And he had a tour. He went to Boston. He did Philadelphia. It was like he was finished in the East Coast end of the tour. And she needed clothes, and Day 26 needed clothes. So she called me, and I was riding around with them, hotels, and catching that footage. And then we just grew a rapport because she always saw me in the notebook because half the time I wasn't driving. I was just in the passenger seat or the back seat with a notebook. And I was writing ideas down. So what are you doing? I'm like, I write film. So I was working on, at the time, a film called Dear Paisley. That was like my first script I ever wrote. And I was finishing that, and she read like some of the page, like, yo, you're funny. Because it was like, I wrote an Uncle June part into it. Now, Dear Paisley is a true story. But some stories just need a character to kind of push things along. So I wrote in the Uncle June as the grumpy gangster landlord. And she read it, just cracking up. So I was thinking about doing a show with some of my son's friends and everything. And that's how that conversation It's all about who you know, and sometimes like you don't know what can fall in your lap.
I always say that it's not necessarily about what you do. It's mostly about like who you know, and then you can focus on what you do.
I think that year she went to the Grammys that year for something, or she like did something involving the Grammys. Because around the same year, I did a song for an artist named Lady Holly from Mount Vernon. It was her first music video, and we did the music video in one day. It was like last minute, and we did her whole video. I had no treatment, so I kind of winged it. We filmed it in her house. We filmed on the Bronx River Parkway, and it came together. It was called The Loneliest Night, and that video got played at the Grammys that year. The Grammys had a contest. Amateur artists can submit music videos, and the best one gets played to the Grammy crowd during commercial break.
That's crazy.
That song got picked. So then my Lil said story by Juno Moore pops up, and if people saw that shooting, it was all over the place. I'm literally listening to the song, and I'm coming out, I'll change the outfit, do that, and it came together. We shot it in one day, edited it another day, and set it off the third day, so a 3-day video. And I kind of like blowing that report because that kind of goes into how I did the Homegrown movie.
That's fire.
That's OD fire.
That's like insane.
I have one question, and it's off topic, but I need to know. What's your sign?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay. I expected something else. Because, like, when I was reading the article, when you were like, I do what I have to do no matter, like, how hard it is. Like, you're pretty much like a go-getter. Like, you're going to, from start to finish, you're going to see it all the way out, no matter the outcome. So I was expecting a fire sign, but I digress. Go on.
So, think about it. Water is one of the hardest deaths to suffer is by water. Fire is painful. Stop a drowning, you still awake at the very end. So water got power in its own way.
I agree. Suffocation and drowning is the worst way to go out.
I am also a water sign, so shout out to the water signs. Now I want to bring it back before we get in the home going.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna talk about your resiliency and forethought. Okay. So, what you decided to do, you got on Instagram, you got on the LA Film School website, and you basically decided to get their syllabus. Mm-hmm. And you also talked to some kids, act like you were going to class, got some tech got textbook names, shit like that. And you effectively was able to kind of half-ass teach yourself from the crib. What sparked that? What made you say, fuck it, this is going to...
You kind of made the most nicest way, because honestly, what I did was I followed some people that said, like, in their bio went to LA Film School, like the hashtag, and most of them were women. So I kind of shot my shot, kind of finagled the conversation. Like, what year are you in? Oh, I'm a sophomore. Oh, I'm a freshman. So it's like I didn't do nothing back, and I never really met these women in person. I didn't really lead no one on. I'm like, oh, what are you looking for? I'm like, honestly, I'm kind of growing myself at the moment, but I always want a female friend. Now, some of those women I'm still cool with to this day, but I asked them the syllabus, and I started seeing what books I could find online, what lectures of what people they got lectured by, and I kind of just pieced it together. But I love documentaries too, so I watch a documentary about movies, movie studios, different actors, directors, and it's kind of like film school teaches you how to do what's been done. It doesn't teach you how to be creative. So I'm like, okay, this is what they expect. So the most I really took from film school is how to write a script. Because at first I was writing a script in essay format. I'm thinking a script is a story. I'm like, oh, now you have to put interior, exterior, what you see on camera minus what you actually...
Parentheticals.
Parentheticals. I'm like, what's going on? I look at mad scripts. I'm like, okay, throw that one out. Throw that, okay. And it's kind of like I had to reteach the structure. I think that's the main thing I took, but I knew I couldn't afford to go to LA Film School. Like, I went to White Plains. I went to like three high schools. Don't judge me. I went to White Plains High School. Then I went to Sleepy Hollow High School. Then I graduated in Florida at Wellington High.
Fucking savages. Do they have no fucking respect? These fucking savages. No fucking respect. Saturday afternoon coming down here, they got no motherfucking respect. They can fuck their mothers and fucking shit. They should have got fucking spit out. These motherfucking cocksuckers, so they know we got business handling over here. No respect out here, I tell you. No respect. No respect for anybody. You got to take this shit. I told y'all this, what you got to say. Fuck these motherfuckers. You see? Fucking cocksuckers. I'm sorry. Please continue.
I need to put him in the movie. That was some funny shit. Anyway.
Whenever you need player, I'm legit. Now that I'm dead ass down for.
He wants to be a villain so bad. He wants to be a Monaco villain so bad. So
whatever you need.
So whatever bad. Like he's like praying for that role.
He's ready.
He's ready for an audition. You need me to kick a baby? I'll do it.
The movie I just finished, matter of fact, getting me on topic. I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we got you. Continue, please.
Where was I at? You made me lose my train of thought.
Graduating from three different high schools.
And that was a 3 different experiences. White Plains High School at the time was predominantly like split down the middle, white and black. The black was basically the whole athletic department. Now when I go to Sleepy Hollow, it's black and Dominicans. It's like a handful of white kids. So it's like a different experience. And then going to Wellington High School where I graduated is pretty much all white kids. So it's kind of like I started growing connections. I still have connections to all 3. So I know on my 25-year anniversary, I probably hit all 3. Everyone knows that I was like the popular athlete, that kind of clown. I was like the class clown. But like I wasn't to the point of stopping kids learning. I'll just be like right on time with the joke if a teacher says something. I'll have like a
facts.
So going through those different schools, you kind of meet connections. You kind of see how kids are moving. And I really didn't think, when my pops died, I stopped playing sports. So I had little scholarships, nothing crazy. And I stopped playing. So family members were like, why would you stop playing? Like, that's your best shot. And everyone just assumed football and basketball was all I had. I'm like, bro, I did it because the family wanted me to do it. And that's what my family does. I'm like, I can care. I never focused like, I'm going to go to the NBA, I'm going to the NFL. I didn't want that. I was like, I want to own an NFL team or I want to own an NBA team. Because like, there's a book I read called $1 Million Slave. A big name basketball player can get like $35-40 million max, maybe more. How much, if they paying you $35-40, how much do you think they can get?
Talk about it.
I always thought, I'm like, they give you that, I got a sign-up bonus. Okay, a sign-up bonus contingent on you playing. If you get hurt, your sign-up bonus really is $500,000. You bought a Lamborghini. Lamborghini is $350,000, $400,000. You got $100,000 left. Your house mortgage is probably maybe $5,000 a month. Yo, that over $100,000 is not it. But you know how much I still got? Because I can just get another one of you. So it's like I'd rather own than just be someone. My father always told me never be beholden to nobody. So everything I had, like I had an investor for homegoing. I had some money for selling another script. I bought the investor out, so now I own homegoing all the way through. All my copyrights, I own my copyrights. They're all under my name and my company's name. I own 100% of Now Next. I also saw the level of value is important because some people always like being beholden, either with cell phones. People either, I'll finance my phone, I'll get another one. You're paying $30 for 26 months, and then that adds up on top of it. So you're paying more than what the phone's worth. The iPhone like $1,000. Now you're about to pay almost 2 G's to a phone bill, but you could just drop $1,000. That's how I see it. I see it kind of like in the phone. Like,
nah, you with it. I'm on time with it because
on some little Duval shit.
That's the ownership.
Buy it.
That's the ownership that you know what I mean, that we like to preach to people just because it's like, what's the sense? You know what I'm saying? What's the sense of being that $1 million slave when you could make other people millions when you could be that, you can make millions yourself, you know? And I think me and Dean are on that path, like the indie way.
Fuck yes.
You know what I mean? So
better. Even with the musicians I have, I literally promote them to be independent artists. Like I have, even with the contracts, I offer exclusive and non-exclusive. So exclusive contracts is literally if I'm building something from the ground up, I have to do all the labor. Now I have artists that have been booking their own show, like Cartel, for example. Cartel is a non-exclusive artist. Cartel got features with Styles P, Jadakiss. I think he has another one coming out with DMX. I don't control or do nothing with his career. If he has a song that fits a project, like all the artists, they get emails. Like, this is a new project. This is the poster. This is the synopsis. You think something fits? So they'll send me, like, I think these 3 might fit. I might pick 2. I might pick 3. Okay, cool. They still get a higher percentage. Like, they get 80-40 deals. And that's better. 80-40 or, well, no, 80-40 is an exclusive deal. Exclusive.
What do you mean by 80-40? Break that down.
It's basically like whatever comes in, the artist gets 80%. And the 40% I get is basically the fees to put it out and market it. So basically the artist is
now, what is this amount off of? So this isn't off of 100% amount?
It just depends on what, because every artist has their own producers too. So like I kind of minus that due to producers cost. Because like sometimes if you do a song, if someone else mixes and masters, you can either pay them outright or you get them cuts on the actual song. So it literally just depends what it is. I still those numbers out because that's basically what some of the contracts look like. But it just depends which artist. Some artists have like their own producers, so they either cut them out of what they get, or some producers like, I want my cut solely separate for a producer's cut. So that basically means whoever pushes the song out gets a lower end cut. Because negotiate. But literally, my contracts, my lawyer saw the contract like, you really want to do them like this? My contracts look like urgent care forms. You got blanks. Like for like, all right, everything's up for negotiation. I don't really go into like, this is what you're worth. I'm like, what are you worth? Every artist I sign, I'm like, I can't want to do this more than you. So like any artist I like, I think you'd be a fit. If you're not asking questions or engaging, I'm not going to push you.
Yeah, but no, I got you. But I'm just trying to think, where does 80-40 come from? Because isn't it out of 100%? So we do 80-40 now. We're at 120.
Say 120, but also 120 could go into royalty aspect. Because we're talking, you have
wait, but like 100 is out of 120%?
No, out of 100, but I'll say the 40 just on back end because like certain companies will give you more if you hit this number mark. Certain companies will give you X, Y, and Z if you clear this. So like, look,
back end deal.
Okay, I'm just trying to break it down for myself and the people.
Like if I did merchandising with you guys, merchandising could be a part of your contract. So I could put Black and the Berry T-shirts out. Now that could be another part of your contract. So I can get another position of that. It depends. Like contracts are kind of funny, and which I barely understood. So that's why I have a legal rep, and then I have a lawyer.
Of course.
Shout out to Jay Williams Consulting. My brother Jeremiah, he does basically all my contracts, and I have a lawyer. He's a paralegal, and I have an actual lawyer go proper and proper, and I can understand it, but also I can relay it back if I'm speaking to an artist.
Right.
So with that, I know it comes out to 120. It just basically means what else is attached to the contract. So overall, yes, it's out of 100, but some of my contracts, depending on who it is, they might have a merch part of it, or they might have I might give them not a sponsor, but like a brand ambassador part. So instead of doing multiple paperwork on the same thing, in that blank, I'll have other, and that's when I put that percentage. So I'll just round it up to 1. So that was my bad of wording, but I try to save as much paperwork as possible. So even with brand ambassadors have their own paperwork that I'll have to sign because it's an artist they're coming for me to do it. And then I'll just put it in there like, okay, you also will get a percentage of this from that rep. So this depends. I got everything all at once. There's usually will be a separate contract for the brand ambassadors depending on how the cards fit. So it is dependent.
I love that you incorporate like everything that's needed in like a record label or like a company, but you also allow your artists to have like that individualism, you know? being that indie and the freedom to create and stuff like that. So
independency is key, but also accountability. Because some people will take things a lot more serious if it's on, like if they sink or swim, it's on their doing. And the most I do for the artists that I have, I get their songs to some offices they couldn't get into regularly. So like I've had meetings with reps that have worked with Netflix. I have connections with Spike Lee. That's 40 Acres in the Mill. Some of those roles I couldn't barely get into, but now that I have the platform, now that I can actually go in there and give them a flash drive with your songs on it, that's basically the value I'm adding. Now, with all their contracts, there's a phone call. Y'all don't want to be a part of it? I just rip it up. Because like the one thing I do is I get more money than what a record label can promise. As a record label, you bring in this much because a record deal is nothing but a loan anyway. The second page of a record deal is your social security number. You're borrowing against your own project. They can give you $1 million sign-up bonus. The project could be only $1.5 million. So you have $500,000 to do a whole project. You go buy house and cars. That means you ain't got no money for features, no money really for press. So now you have to kind of bet the farm on you getting the project done to $500,000, and hopefully you make almost 2.5 back because that 1.5 investment they'll probably want 2 or 2.5 as a return on investment. That's why you see because they'll get that money, blow it, now they got nothing to follow up. So now it's like I don't give advances.
Gem season.
I'm over here taking notes. Hold up.
I thought it was bad because contracts go public after a certain amount of years. So I saw a copy of not Tupac's contract, but
that Death Row contract, serious stuff.
Contract. I'm like, damn, bro, that's pimping if I've ever seen it. Like, literally, they got money. They got not a death clause, but to the point if you can't do music no more, they can still publish your stuff. Like, literally, not that many people own their masters. Buying back masters is difficult. That's why Dr. Dre said, yo, you can keep what I did at Death Row. I'll do it all over again. Not that many people can say they can do that because he makes the beats and he knows how to write. You know what? You keep all the artists. You keep all my masters. I can do it again. And then he comes out with G Unit, Eminem, The Game. You get that Eyes of Gold. Those are 2-3 legendary artists and groups.
Kendrick.
I was like, Kendrick was later on. Like when he left that, I think.
Yeah, well, he didn't. Kendrick CDE.
No, but he did the project with them.
Oh yeah.
I think his out the game. I think was G Unit or Eminem because he left that role like late '90s into 2000s. So it was like,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
To do that, it's like really not many people can bet the farm. I'll do it again. But he had that name. Beyonce can put out a blank CD and it goes platinum. Certain people have star power to do it. So I looked at people that failed. I looked at successful businesses like Berry Gordy, Master P, Nipsey Hussle.
What about Birdman? What are your thoughts on Birdman?
His contract is dangerous.
But him as a businessman,
he works.
It works. Like it just depends. It's a number game because if some people don't know, he owed the IRS mad money, which is why he sold a lot of assets. So it's like if the main thing is make sure you have someone that look at your books the right way. Now, when I started really like paying taxes, now Next been around for a while, but I wasn't paying taxes until I got everything situated. So now Next is LLC, it's trademarked. My name, Juno Moore, is trademarked. So once I started doing that, that's when I started, all right, I'm going to start paying taxes. Now I'm actually bringing in taxable income. My mother's an accountant, and then she has a person that runs business accounting. So, like, I keep my receipts, I'll take pictures of my receipts, and then money I'm spending, I can get that back. So everything in the investment really can't be taxed. So there's different things that you can go about it. Some people
yeah.
So it's all about playing the long game with your money, honestly. Birdman's a good businessman. There's certain things I wouldn't agree with, but he's also an artist owner first. Now, I do music. But that's not what I want to do. But when you go to something with an artist mindset in a business, it can work, but also it can hinder. Because that's when egos come. Like, I ain't going to be the Dick or the Birdman that hop on the trail. Like, I'll literally sit back and watch you do what you get paid to do. And one thing I think about relationship is I eat, but also give you the best options for you to eat as well. So the artists I work with, they have questions or want to talk with someone as a part of the team. That number is free access. Like someone I work with, like my legal consultant, Jeremiah Williams, like from them doing trademarking for their clothing lines, if they want to trademark their music, archive it forever, so it's always protected in the National Archive, they have full access to the resources. Some people keep stuff so close knit that you don't know what you owe, what you need to do, and stuff like that. So it's all about being transparent.
That's love right there, and that's really what people should appreciate. And hopefully that, your artists on the staff appreciate it, because not a lot of people do that, and not a lot of staff do that, where they're free to do whatever they want, get their masters, and also have free access to that game and that resources. You know what I mean? So that's kudos to you, man, for sure.
As a label, like I see Now and Next is literally, it's an entertainment company. I don't brand myself. You'll never see Now and Next a label or record company. I feel like that's putting everything in a box. So when you see record label, there's an asterisk around it.
Right. There's only so much you could do. There's a realm.
If you tell someone right now, oh, I got a record deal, well, you better read it. Everyone gets fucked in their first deal. Like almost any artist say, and I know artists that have said that. Like Nigerian, for example, his first contract was a shady ass contract. He didn't put out music. He put out little stuff just to fulfill his requirements. Like, wow, you have all these requirements, but you have shackles around you. So I'm like, I'll never brand as a record label. It's literally a family that can do music. So I have like Knuckles. Knuckles is the music coordinator for Now and Next, but also Knuckles is a musician. His real name is Stevie. He basically did his acquisition. So people, I don't go to shows like that. They'll go to shows. They'll come like, yo, this artist is dope. He'll put me to the speaking out here. I'm like, all right, they dope. He'll give them a car and see what they at. And literally, it's his family. My boy, Killer from Bedrock Records. He's scoring, homegoing. He has industry credits on a few tracks. Him and his brother Source. Source is one of Diddy's main producers. They the only thing he's at Bedrock Records. I have Gary, which is YBM. He's a writer, engineer, and a musician. So then we have people like guitar and all that. So literally, it's all like, in a way, work for hires in a way. Like if I'm doing I need a guitar player. Like, yo, I got a few dollars for you. I need you to do a few bass lines and chords. All right, come through. No one's like, yo, this is your job. Like, no, like you do what you do best. I know who to call. I got gospel.
Facts.
Got like different. I got care people I can call. Like my photographer down in Palm Beach. I got a dude named E. I got people back in New York. And everyone.
So you just got like the one-stop shop, basically.
Pretty much.
And he's a production. He's a whole production. He's not
absolutely as he should be, because he's got the whole entertainment company.
Listen, so we need some work. You know what I mean? If you need some extras here.
Right. I film Homegoing. People don't believe I filmed that movie in 2 days, 48 hours. I filmed it on my birthday and the day after.
So let's talk about Homegoing. So you wrote the script for this and you woke up in a car? Am I correct? And you started putting pen to paper?
Nah, basically, money got tight. My mom's got let go from her job very shadily, which we're actually, I think, pursuing a lawyer to sue the company she worked for. But she lost her job. My job got outsourced. So money's getting tight. I'm getting money for food and stuff like that. And then eventually we get a notice that we're being evicted. So I'm sleeping in my Jeep. And I have I sold like my place. I sold mad stuff. I really didn't have much at the time, but I kept my iPad. My iPad had this free software called Final Draft, and that's the industry standard script writing. Now the real Final Draft costs like $400, which I couldn't afford, but the demo is free. The demo, the only thing you can do is write. You can't edit certain ways. So if you edit, it's gonna take you forever. I was sitting there thinking like, man, this can't be. I'm literally sitting in with my feet on the dashboard and like I have a sunroof. I'm just looking like this can't be it. I'm over here praying. I'm like, now I got a job working for the Greenberg Center helping the senior citizens. So I'm like bringing coffee and tea, and I'm carrying like around a 45-pound book bag. The book bag has my iPad, all these books, my notebooks. And I'm thinking we're gonna get padlocked out sooner or later. Like, and then that night we got kicked out. My mother, she's cool. Like my mother has a sister. I really wasn't getting along with the family at the time. So I said, you go there, I'll figure it out. Sitting in the car, I'm like, man, I need a sign. And I thought about my father's funeral. My father's funeral was sad, but it was the most funniest shit I ever seen. This a well-dressed homeless crackhead came in. He was wearing like a Fuji sweater with green slacks. And this is not the funeral, this is the wake. And the wake is the night before. So
right.
People say that anyone has telling these stories about Wayne Green and my father. And this guy goes up like, the family want me to sing a song, so I'm gonna go ahead and sing. I'm like, and I'm looking, people looking like, you know him? I'm like, no, no. And one of my aunts that's a church member like, oh, that boy good. He used to sing back in the day. I'm like, all right, whatever. And
here we go.
Sunglasses on. So I don't like people see my face when I'm crying, so I usually have sunglasses on. Man, this dude starts singing Amazing Grace and jacks this song up to complete hell. Like, he loses his spot. He grabs the mic trying to get crowd participation and drops the mic and walks the fuck out. Never seen him again. I'm like,
that's beautiful.
One is cracking the hell up. And like, I'm crying, but I'm really calming down. I look at the casket, and the way I was sitting was like to the right of the backside of my father's head, and I was kind of far back, and it looked like he had a smirk on his face. And my father always like, I gotta have the last laugh, no matter where it can be. It can be someone's funeral, it can be at someone's wedding. Like, he will literally have a joke or have something to give you no matter what it is. So I was thinking like, man, what if I wrote like a Jack to the Funeral book? I'm like, oh, Death at the Funeral has been done before. I'm like, let me play around with this. So I came up with characters' names.
And you wrote like the notes on the back of his obituary, right?
Yeah, I was writing. No, I wrote down, no, because like the funeral was the next day. So they didn't get the obituary out until the funeral. That dude's singing was the wake. So I'm like, oh, it's gonna get funny.
Oh, okay. I thought I read somewhere that you had wrote notes on the back of it and then you discovered it.
No, yeah, I wrote notes on the back of the obituary. But
right, okay.
Today, now I'm like, I have a pen. I'm sitting there. Because on the back of my father's obituary, I wrote like a haiku about my father. So most people didn't really ask nothing from me because it was my dad's funeral, so my sister was there, and I'm really just kind of zoned out. People went up there that my dad did not like but loved him so much, and I'm writing that down. This one guy, my dad said, man, he can go to hell. And like he just happened to die before my dad. He's like, man, we love Wayne so much. We were brothers to the end. I'm like, oh, you're a liar. So I kind of wrote that down. So I started writing things that were happening, like people falling out, crying. I'm like, it's not even that serious. They didn't even start singing yet. Like, so like,
not even at that portion of the service.
Yeah, and then I have like family members. I'm not gonna mention their names that are preachers that are kind of like, maybe you shouldn't go up there. Like I'm writing this stuff down. Like I don't know what.
Why God take me instead?
Like I guarantee the first one running out of here. But anyway, that's how I thought. So it is what it is. So now back to me being in the truck, waking up. I'm going through my notebooks. I had this one notebook. It's like a thing. You remember Things to Remember, that store? There's a Things to Remember notebook that had a button on it that had my name on it. And I had pictures and goals. Like I had like movie tickets in there and all that. And I went through it and I found the obituary folded up. And it's been years. Like this is 2000. When I wrote Homegoing, it was 2019. I wrote Homegoing. My father died 2011. So it's been in that book for that long.
Right.
So I was like, man, I never thought about doing nothing with this. And then like literally that night I sat there and my fingers started going. I started writing it from that night in that Jeep to when I got to work at the Greenberg Center all the way until I finished it. It didn't take me long to finish it, but it's like Homegoing is a short.
How long did it take you to edit it?
Well, I have friends that are teachers in the Greenberg School District. So shout out to I have a friend called Chaz. He's an English teacher. So I'm like, yo, I have a script. I really don't know how to really go about it. I already did my research about how to do scripts, but I need editing. Some of my spelling was off. So he grades papers quick. So I'm like, I gave him the script on like a Monday. He got back to me by that next Tuesday with like a writing correction. Went back into the iPad, went back and fixed it. And then I'm like, yo, how am I going to cast it? So the way I wrote it, I write scripts with people that I have in mind that I know. So every person at Homegoing is a real person. They don't have the same thing, but they have the same personality and characteristics. And that's how I kind of was able to do dialogue. Like, oh, he talks like that. He talks like that. And I started shopping it to people. Like, I got a bunch of those. So I'm like, okay, how can I do this for little to no money? So I had enough money to get union actors. Like, it wasn't that much to get union actors for a low budget. They just have to say if they'll do it. And I was like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do something people will remember. So I casted everyone from Westchester. Like, I only had one person from New York City, and they were originally from Westchester. So I gave people that knew me from childhood, kindergarten, that are funny, that are dramatic, that I knew for, like, mostly all the cast I knew for almost maybe 10 plus years.
Okay. And these people weren't actors. You just kind of made them into
50 personalities. Like Jackie, for example, the woman. Oh, this is the movie post right here behind. Yeah. Jackie really is funny, beautiful, dramatic. Never acted before. Like she literally does stuff. Like I seen her. Like she's my cousin, so she does stuff around the house, just being dramatic. Like, that's funny. So I'm like, she can do it. So I let people do an audition tape, and she blew a lot of people out the world because a few people auditioned on Instagram. I sent people some lines to do. JJ, the other man in the poster, he's the only professional actor that's from Westchester. He does regular extra work on Law and Order. So he's the only one that actually been on a movie set and knows how things have to be done. He read it like, yo, this is real good. So literally, I wanted to do a feature movie, but I'm like, you know what? I looked at what won the short film festival, and a lot of these films are either one location, two people, and that's it. And it's 45 minutes. I'm like, that's kind of boring to look at the same person in the same room for 45 minutes. So I was like, how about I do a script that's a feature film essay in that time frame, but it looks like you're going to the movie theater. So it has multiple locations. It has I have like maybe 12 cast members. It has music, special effects. I filmed the movie in White Plains, Austin, Mount Vernon, Yonkers.
You said this took you, and it took you what, 2 days to film it?
I filmed the movie on my birthday the day after July 11th to July 12th. I wrapped the movie in Austin July 12th at like 1 in the morning.
Wow.
Ooh.
I love
What
that
was
you
that?
started
What was that production schedule looking like?
Man, like we had leading up to that day, we had meetings at the park. And this is mind you during COVID, so this is like
Sheesh.
everything to lockdown. So people wearing masks. We meeting at parks, 8 feet apart, yelling on lines across the park. Like we're in a big circle, lines this way, and it came together. Like I met Brad Williams and his brother. Brad Williams was he worked as a PA for Spike Lee, so he was in. You ever saw Inside Man?
Yeah.
You know the brother of the girlfriend that Denzel was scrolling that slept on the couch?
Mm-hmm.
That's Brad. Brad was on the couch. So literally, Brad got credit for Inside Man for snoring. And like he sent me a text, he showed me a screenshot. Denzel texted like, I never met someone that could sleep that good. Because literally, he thought he was really sleeping on the couch the way he was snoring, the way he was knocked out. But he worked on multiple sets. Like he worked with Spike when Spike was doing Burger King commercials. Spike really got big doing Burger King commercials with all these professional athletes, and then he started doing the Jordan commercials. He worked as a PA through the Jordan commercials. He did, I think he got game.
Wow.
And so he got out the game because he started having a family and doing a production assistant job. It's not a big regular salary. So if you have to get a job to take care of your family, that's what you got to do.
Right.
He worked on sets. He's like, yo, this trip is dope for like one of your first. Like, it's not my first, but it's one of my ones I want to get done. And then he just introduced me to certain people. I met the investor, and then everything was underway. I found the camera crew. Shout out to Millimeter Mac Production. He does filming for the Juicy the series that's doing great numbers on YouTube. He did my photo. He did the video, sound, everything, editing. Got that with a one-stop shop. So it was tough. I'm really proud of the cast. Like, it's for them never to act before, but I was just real good at selecting who I needed. Because every person is their personality. Like, the guy that plays Rico is supposed to be my brother Lance.
So who is Rico?
Rico is kind of like
So matter of fact, do me a favor. Break it down for people a little bit about what Homegoing is. Don't give them all of it because they're gonna want them to see it, but just give them a little, quick synopsis.
Homegoing is a movie about second chances, forgiveness, but also turning another leaf. Pretty much, if I'm trying to think how I can sum this down, I'll give you the details. The film is about how well do you know your partner. So I got the idea, like even how COVID is, people are not really knowing much about their partners until it's too late or until we're in the situation. So it's kind of like you don't know who someone's family is. You don't know who you're marrying into. You don't know what you signed up for until it's right in front of your face. And that's what Homegoing is. Which also helped me set up doing my documentary that's coming out soon before Homegoing.
Ooh. So what is your documentary about? What's your documentary?
It's called Great Romance. Talks about dating and singles during COVID-19 pandemic lockdown.
Oh Lord, it's so bad out here in these streets.
That's a whole other thing. I'll leave that for another show.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be interesting. Like I don't know. Like I'm in a relationship. I don't know what that's.
It's like one question. What's something you didn't know about your partner before COVID? That's one of the questions in the documentary. I picture answering that right next to your girl.
Nothing.
Something good and be something bad. You sure?
Positive.
Okay.
Positive. Nothing really changed in this household.
Like change.
He was like,
no.
I thought you had Cherokee in your family. He didn't know his girl had all these wigs, and he didn't.
Nothing changed.
Like what? Like I asked questions that people wanted to know. Like, what's something that you didn't know? If you're single, have you downloaded dating apps during COVID? Have you been on dates? I kind of like really wanted to push the volume, and plus, I'm not with the people. I'm only everyone recorded on their cell phone because I wanted to look like grungy because everyone's on lockdown, and I did this while everyone was locked down and the house couldn't go nowhere. So they had to talk to their couple or talk to their husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's
actually
like
pretty smart.
Of Homegoing. Homegoing basically takes place during COVID-19. Cast members had masks on. Some people didn't, but I still took accurate reasons, like everyone just make sure they was tested or checked. No one had symptoms. I made sure everyone was safe on set, but it was a film based around the time period of COVID-19. It's someone dies. I'm not gonna say who, but it's a funeral.
I always love when people die in movies. I think that's always the best part.
Wow.
That's in pain.
This is one of the best ways of dying I've ever seen in a movie, so make sure y'all check that out.
That's a beautiful thing. So, listen, this has been one insightful episode. You know what I'm saying?
This gem season.
I'm about to say this was a gem dropper.
Yeah,
right here. You've
was.
definitely given the people a lot, and we appreciate you for stopping
real
by.
quick, I'm sorry.
Sure.
When is this documentary dropping?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be here before New Year's. I told myself, no company has ever put out every major piece of entertainment in 1 year, meaning a movie, book, soundtrack, and documentary.
Okay.
So the documentary is going to be the final installment. So it will be here before.
You know what? Yeah, before we
Yeah, and
before we cut off.
Where can we find
The documentary
Homegoing?
directly on my website, nowernextent.com.
Mm-hmm.
And for Homegoing, I'm still talking with some companies about having that going directly to TV or streaming service. So I'll have that decision, but more than likely before Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna be promoting that. So I'll make sure I tag y'all and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, just for exclusive. When the trailer drops, also the soundtrack is gonna be dropping. So I'm excited.
Ooh. Here's something else. Another quick question too before we leave. Your book.
Okay.
Your book. That's something that we did not touch before we head out. I definitely want to talk about it. So it is Uncle June's. Hold on, give me 1 second. Uncle June's Talk: An Urban Survival Guide. It is now out on Amazon.
Go get that.
It's a kid book and children's book to talk. Really to explain. That conversation that parents have to have with kids about the cops, especially when you're Black and Spanish and shit. So break it down to the folks on what they what parents can expect with this book. Is this a book that they could, if they're having a hard time explaining it to their kid, it makes it easier for them? Or is this something that just puts it into the kid's head really early on so they kind of understand the world they're living in? Break it, put the science to the math behind, your reason and stuff for that book.
A little bit of both, because I have cops that are in my family. I have a lot of family members that are police officers and COs. So when I came up with the idea for the book, I saw one of my uncle's friends come into a park with his uniform on, and half the kids ran. And half those kids that ran was a bunch of Spanish and Black kids, while the white kids were double, playing with jump ropes. And I just said to them, that's kind of messed up. I know how things are going on, but not everyone is bad. But also there's ways of de-escalating or having that conversation. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I could write a book myself, just write a book. And I'm like, that could be done, but some people are visual. I came with an idea of a children's book. Basically teaches kids how to deal with police when they're not with their parents. So I took Dr. Seuss's concept and I put a hip hop flow to it. So every page rhymes. Every page has an illustrator. Shout out to Alexandria Scott that did my illustrating for the book. And it's really an urban Dr. Seuss book. The main character is basically based on my godson Josiah. It has Uncle June in it as the mentor, and it shows kids how to talk with cops if they have to. If it is a bad situation, how you can de-escalate it to get yourself home. And
Sesame Street, who nigga? I hear you.
I love that.
I did a real book for that.
It's an important conversation, especially in. I don't like to call us minority because technically we are the majority, but in
Black and brown,
Hispanic or Latin communities.
It's getting crazy out here because around this time, I finished the book, right? I think when I first put the book, I think George Floyd just passed away. And I started marketing the book. I got a hate message, and honestly, hating don't bother me. Honestly, people hate that means you're doing something right. And it was literally talking about I got called a nigger. I never these people had to hate to. I'm like, damn, you're upset. And talk about Blue Lives Matter. And it was a random DM. I think I posted it on Facebook. Somebody felt down. I'm like, you know what? What I see is no such thing as bad publicity. So clearly he might have bought the book or read an interview or something. I'm like, okay, I really don't care. Because by the way the dude talked, he definitely was older than me by 40 years. So I'll probably bust that. But that's besides the point. But
it be like that sometimes.
I think in the book to kind of open the conversation started, and a lot of people gravitated to the book. I sold over 1,500 copies.
Wow. Nice.
And that's just literally all
good shit.
Work right there. Yeah, it was a good experience. Honestly, I liked how people reacted, and I met now I partner with a teacher, Stacey Williams, that has her PhD. I'll be dropping more versions of Uncle June's Talk. Basically, I'm dropping one for teachers edition with teachers activities, but I'm also dropping one for a parent edition of activities you can do with your kids about that situation.
Well, that's perfect.
So
definitely need that.
That's gonna be after the New Year's. I ain't trying to put too much on my favorite for the
Of course.
Leave some for 2021.
That's good work.
The way his mind works, it's just one idea after the other, and it's
the idea factory.
Relentless.
But over something, if I get stuck, I just jump to the next thing, then I'll go back. I have these books. I have so many staples. I got a job before after COVID. Well, before COVID, when I was working at the community center, I got a job at Staples. not because they were the only one hiring, because I needed office supplies, and you get 10% discount. So I got my desk, books, pens, copying, because I became a Staples manager in the tech department.
Nice.
Oh,
You know, like I was always saying to myself, I need stuff. I'm like, okay, I ain't trying to spend that much money, so I'm like, if they hire it, and it's right next to my other job, and I need some extra cash, why not? So
okay,
that everything was kind of like a strategic method. It was
The
a
ultimate hustler.
yeah, he's very strategic, and it's like nonchalantly strategic, and then it's just like, damn,
give you nothing.
how does your mind work?
Give me something that's gonna be with a price. Because people hit me up, I want you to write a music video. I'm like, okay, how much? So how much you talking? Oh, you know the exposure you're gonna get. I'm not gonna say the artist, the person that known artist. I'm like, exposure. Okay, this is gonna expose you. I'm doing the work, so how about you expose the deposit? So some people call me asshole, but I'm bluntly honest. That's always been me. I'm not gonna.
Now listen, you
Listen,
gotta.
man, if it's fire, you're not gonna do it for free.
Money talks, bullshit walks. You know what they say.
And that's what pushed me to do my feature for my just finished 8 Ball, which I am talking with several networks are picking up. So that's gonna be my theater debut. So that's what I'll leave y'all with.
Moving.
Moving and grooving and moving, never stopping it. Listen, we appreciate you for stopping by Black of the Berry Land, Brother June. Listen, I am Dean. Well, hold on. Let the people know where they can catch you at. You know, get your
definitely need that.
Yeah, before we close this out.
I am Juno Moore. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat. My IMD is being redone, but that's gonna be on the Juno Moore. But all major social medias, I am Juno Moore. I do follow back. If you have any questions, want to learn something, I'm a friendly person. You just send a DM and I got you. All right.
I'm about to be in the DMs asking mad business questions.
Like I said, I'm gonna either answer them or my business manager, Jeremiah Williams of CJ Williams Consulting. Shout out to my brother's company. He get everything squared away from trademarks, LLCs, everything else. So.
Awesome.
Moving and grooving and moving.
Yeah,
we appreciate
having me.
Yeah.
Listen, we appreciate you for stopping by. This is Black of the Berry. I am Dean. That is the Madman Lowe's. That is Miss Double F Staff, Miss Paulino in the house. We're Black of the Berry. We appreciate y'all. Peace, love, and chicken.
Later.
Bye, guys.